Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850. Iain Dale at Drive on LBC.
Hello, very good evening. 5 minutes past 6. Later in this hour, we're going to be talking to Natalie Bennett, the leader of the Green Party. She was on the march on Saturday in the austerity protests. And we'll also be talking later about a young traveller woman who went to study at Oxford. She's planning on working on her family's fairground after completing her degree. Have you ever felt pressured to follow a particular career path because your parents wanted you to, rather than the career path that you were set on? That's our subject in the 7 o'clock hour. But now we're going to be talking about whether every Muslim in Britain should be made to take counter-extremism lessons. It's Iain Dale at Drive here with you. It's 6 minutes past 6. Now, every Muslim in Britain should be made to take counter-extremism lessons at school to prevent radicalisation. That's according to a Pakistani politician and senior Islamic scholar. Dr Tahir-ul-Qadri said that lessons on peace, counter-terrorism and de-radicalisation should be made part of the national curriculum in state schools. He said the subject should be made compulsory for all Muslim students in the country and optional for non-Muslim children. Well, it's an interesting idea. I wonder what you make of it. 0345 6060 973. I think my view on this would be that it would be divisive to split off Muslim children in a particular school just to take lessons on these issues. Now, that's not to say that these issues aren't worth teaching in schools. I absolutely think they are. But surely we should be teaching all children. Now, yes, I know some people are going to bring in and say, oh, yes, but it's not Christian or Jewish kids who go around sort of bombing people or joining ISIS. Well, you're absolutely right, but who knows what might happen in 10, 15, 20 years' time? Aren't the sort of whole sort of tenets of peace and de-radicalisation, aren't they something that ought to be taught to everybody? 0345 6060 973 is the number to call. Well, let's talk to the man himself. Dr Tahir-ul-Qadri joins me on the line now. Doctor, thank you very much indeed for talking to us here on LBC. Good evening.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Now, just take us through exactly why you think these lessons are needed.
These lessons on de-radicalization are needed for all students and young people, and in state school for Muslims and non-Muslim students both. And I wanted to clarify that as far as the Muslim students are concerned, these should be a compulsory part of their curriculum in mosques, in Islamic schools, in madrasas, in seminaries, in their weekend schools and in evening schools. As far as the state schools are concerned, they should be common for all students, young people. I am not in favor of any kind of division between young people and students. We don't want any kind of segregation. We want cohesion of society, and we don't want division of society or division of community. Either it's up to the government. If government makes it compulsory subject, then it would be for everyone. It makes optional, should be for everyone. Muslim students should know that whatever ideology is being preached by ISIS or other extremist organizations, that ideology is in clear violation of Quranic teachings and prophetic teachings. They should know that this is no more jihad, whatever ISIS is claiming. And non-Muslim students should also know, without any segregation, without any division, that their act of extremism or terrorism has nothing to do with Islam or any faith or any religion. This is a violation of every faith, and this is an enmity for mankind.
Now, this is something that mosques in this country could do at the moment. Now, for all I know, a lot of mosques do this, but you clearly think that they're not doing it very well.
In mosques, I know, in thousands of the mosques and everywhere, they are Islamic teaching. Normally, they are teaching the curriculum of how to read Quran, how to recite Quran, and other basic tenets of faith. But now this time has come where the subject of peace, relationship of Muslims and non-Muslims, de-radicalization, counter-terrorism in any form and any manifestation, this theology is Kharijite theology, to enforce your agenda through force and to compel and coerce other people to accept your ideology, this should be condemned categorically, and this aspect of Islamic teaching should be taught in the mosque with emphasis. And how the Prophet of Islam dealt with his enemies, his opponents, how he entered into the alliances with Jews and Christians and other non-Muslims, how he created peace treaties in order to build up the peace at global level, how he developed his peaceful relation with other communities and other tribes, and how he preferred diplomacy over every kind of war. So these kind of things should be taught to the student in mosque with special emphasis, and schools and seminaries. And whatever is possible should go to the school curriculum also, but should be equal for Muslim and non-Muslim, so that non-Muslim students may also know that this thing has nothing to do with any faith.
And what do you say? What reaction have you had to your ideas from imams and from fellow scholars?
We have on this launch of curriculum, we have received very positive response, and hundreds of teachers and imams and clerics who are running mosques and running Islamic seminaries and schools, they are turning up tomorrow. They are endorsing it. Islamic organizations are endorsing it. In fact, they were in need that somebody should come up with some curriculum. They wanted to teach it. They wanted to put it as a part of their curriculum, but they needed some books. Almighty God have helped me for the last 5 years after issuance of Fatwa. I have written 25 books just on this particular subject of de-radicalization and counter-terrorism. And there are many books in Arabic and Urdu, and 12 books are just in English to be taught. So with this now they feel easy. They are in a position to take up the books and curriculum in their hand and to teach the students that what are the teachings of Quran, how to resolve the dispute peacefully. And they will teach that there is no place in Islam to establish any state in the name of religion of God with act of violence or act of brutality or act of criminality. This is totally against the teaching of Islam. Now they will emphasize on it.
Just one final question. Why do you think that British young people are going to fight with ISIS in Syria?
I think they have been influenced by the wrong interpretations given by ISIS and other extremist organizations, and the voices of the Muslim teachers, imam, clerics, and leaders should become more and more clear and louder. This is the need of the time. Now this is the time we should not remain silent, although there are many Muslim scholars, leaders condemning this act of terrorism, but we need now more to condemn. We need to become more louder, more clearer, so that this message goes down to every single youngster, every student, and they should know that there should be no ifs and buts, no conditionality. There should be an absolute and categorical and expressive condemnation of any act and form and manifestation.
Well, see, that's interesting, because David Cameron, the Prime Minister, said something very similar in a speech on Friday, I think it was, and yet Saeeda Varsi, his former Communities Minister, a Muslim herself, criticised him at the weekend, saying that he had lost some Muslim support because of that. You're actually supporting what he said.
I am supporting the basic point, but there should be no division between violent extremism and non-violent extremism, one thing. Second thing, I have been preaching this for the last 20 years, that we should address the issue of radicalization and extremism at its source, at its roots. We should not let extremism to be converted into terrorism, and then we should take up arms and fight the war on terror, this aspect. As far as the other leaders have said, but you have mentioned, I think those who are doing effort, and there are many people, scholars and leaders and communities who are condemning it, their efforts should also be appreciated, so that they got proper appreciation, that they may come up with more louder voice. We don't want to, and you can say, feel them that they are not doing enough.
And do you
do more and more? This is need of the time.
Sorry, I know I said finally before. This really is the final question. Do you think that parents are to blame here as well? Do you think parents could do more?
yes, parents should do more. They can do more. Parents can do more, imams can do more, teachers can do more, and all the elders of the society can do more. In the same way, government should do more. Government should not see only towards imams and the teachers and the parents, but there are some responsibilities of the government too. The government have been funding to those people who were sympathizers of the terrorist organization. But they should look into the matter, who is really the enemy of terrorism or ideology and who is really supporter. They should appreciate the supporters of peace and appreciate those who are vocal in condemning the terrorism. And at the same time, parents, teachers and community leaders, and they need more to do, because our generation, this is not matter of you and us. Generation, whoever went to Syria or whoever went for ISIS, they are our children, they are our future, they are our generation. We want to save them. Whether they belong to Britain, they belong to US, they belong to Canada, they belong to Europe, they belong to Muslim community or non-Muslim, they are our future. We have to save the mankind from this crime.
Okay, well, you clearly feel very strongly. I agree with almost everything you've said there. Dr Mohammed Tahir-ul-Qadri, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on LBC. 0345 6060 973. Well,